Hey, this is Lauren, and I am getting ready to decorate some Halloween cookies. So I just thought I'd hop on and show you all how I get ready for a class. I have a class tomorrow, and I know it's a little bit dark in here, but I always measure out my bags. I know how much is in each bag. I'm going to go ahead and decorate the set kind of quickly so that I know how much icing I'm going to need for each decorator. So let's see, I need one more color. When I do classes, I like to only have 5 colors at the most. So that's what I have here. And I'm going to go ahead and get started. This is a set that I used for my Cheerful Box, which is a cookie decorating kit. I do a very detailed step-by-step instruction video that goes with all the cookies in the box. This is only 5 cookies. That's how much we do for a class, because over the years I've figured out that's about what I can do with a group, and everybody can have fun and still get the cookies done. So the only reason I'm doing this is just to weigh out my icing and figure how much icing I use per set. And then I'll be able to know how much icing to give to the participants. I know it's a little bit dark, but it's just well, let me see. Maybe if I open this, it'll be just a little brighter. Oh, did you all hear that? That was crazy. My blinds just fell. I put them back up. I took them down and washed them, and I put them back up today, and I guess I didn't do it right. But anyway, now maybe there's a little bit more light. So after I do that, I'm going to put this. I also like to do this ahead of time so that I can figure out in what order we need to do these during the class. And so I always decorate the cookies either the night before or the morning up of, so it's really fresh in my mind. These are Halloween cookies. This is a little Halloween pop. So I'm going to go ahead and do all the bottoms of the pops first. I give everybody a sheet that has all the pictures. I also stand in front of everyone and show them step by step. I have a really great setup. It's a projector that hooks to a document camera, so I can put it right above me and everybody can see what I'm doing. Man, that hurt. Did you all hear that thing fall? Yeah, it sort of hurt my hand. Since I have my brown, I'm going to go ahead and do the bottom part of my donut. I'm trying to think, do I want to do that first? Actually, I'm thinking I might want to do I want to do the bottom part first? See, this is why I enjoy doing this before class, because I can kind of figure it out. So I don't want to do that first, actually. I'm going to take this off. I'm using my finger because nobody's going to eat these cookies. These are strictly my my set that people will be touching, and so nobody eats them. I'm just doing it to see what I want to do for the class. I think I want to do the white first. I used to put them in bags and then try and save them. But really, I just like for people to be able to touch the cookies. So we just throw these away after class, which might seem like a waste, but people like being able to touch and feel and, see exactly what they look like. I have them up on a table. if anybody wants to check them out, I allow them to do that. So now I'm going to set this aside. I'm trying to figure out what order I want to do everything tomorrow. So I'm doing this really fast, faster than I normally would do. But this helps me so much doing this ahead of time. And when I do a class, I always explain why we do the steps that we do. I also always use one consistency of icing, because it used to be when I used to teach classes, I used two consistencies, and that just was really confusing for people. And so I decided I was not going to do that anymore. I was just going to use one. And it's a lot easier for cookie decorators who are just coming to have fun to have one consistency of icing. So let's see, what do I want to do next? I think I'm going to go ahead. Actually, I'm going to let this one dry. Now I'm doing this, like I said, really fast. If you all have any questions, feel free to ask them. And if I can't really see them right now, and I know this is kind of dark, but this is the best lighting that I had. I was doing this anyway, so I figured I might as well go online with you guys. I just ignore that stars thing. I really wish I could take that off. There. Oh, good. I just did. So now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take my white and I'm going to go around the body of my little ghost. Also, when I have classes, I create a sheet. It's a practice sheet that the decorators can use. And it has all the shapes that we would use in the class. So I have rounded shapes. I have, the shapes of the eyes that we're going to make. I have squares. I have rectangles. I have lines, because I want everybody to first get used to using an icing bag if they've never used an icing bag before we start decorating the cookies. So again, I use one consistency of icing to do the class. And it's about a 20-second so that I can do the outside of the cookie and they can do the inside of the cookie too. My husband's been out with the dogs. He's coming inside. They'll probably be noisy. But like I said, no one's eating these cookies. So normally they would not be in here with me. But right now it doesn't matter.
Man, do they love pizza crust.
I'm going live. I'm live right now. You want to say hi to everybody? It doesn't matter. I had a little bit of black on my scribe. So now we're going to set this one aside. So I always like to do cookies in an order that makes sense. And I might change this tomorrow during my class. But like I said, I'm really just doing this to kind of figure out what makes sense for a live class. Because what makes sense for a live class and a recorded class are a little bit different. I love purple for Halloween. The purple and green color I'm using. Now I'm using the new gel colors from the Sugar Art, and man, I love them. I've always used the Sugar Art, but they have these new gels and the colors are so vibrant. So have you all started making your Halloween cookies yet? So that's the bottom to that one. Now, so each of these cookies has 2 different sections. So I've got to think about when I do this, one section needs to dry before I start the other section so that they don't completely blend together. And I always have them cut their own bags using these teeny tiny little scissors. Because my goal is for people to be able to do this at home. Now, I'm not going to do this because this bag has a little bitty hole in it because I want to be able to draw the eyes on my ghost with a small little area. So I'm actually going to, let me think about how I'm going to do this. I'm going to do the ghost first, but I have to draw this on before I do the ghost. But I'm actually going to flood the tombstone last so I can have everybody cut their hole just a little bit bigger. The bags that I'm using are also from the Sugar Art. This is the first time I've tried them. They're fantastic. I mean, you can cut the best tip in them. And I don't like tips because you have to wash them. And I'm not a big fan of that. I have a discount code for the Sugar Art too. It's Cheerful Baker. You get 10% off if anybody uses the Sugar Art or wants to try the Sugar Art. It is my favorite color company. Plus, Ed and Holly, the owners, are so incredibly nice. So I'm going to let this one dry. Like I said, I'm going to do this black section, which is the tombstone, last because I want to be able to cut the hole in my bag bigger and flood that in. Let's see. Tracy, do you have participants outline freehand or do you have them draw the lines first? That is a great question. For something like this, where it's a very loose line, I do not have them freehand it. I mean, I do not have them draw it. Now, I will take edible markers because for some people, they want to be able to do that. And I have these very small edible markers that I always take to class. But my cookie cutters have little notches or that's not the right word. Like this bumps out a little bit here and this bumps out a little bit here. Or you could do it. So I give them directions. I say, look at that bump out right here. And then the bump out over on this side and draw a wavy line connecting the two. The same thing for this one. I would say, look at the bump out, draw a wavy line. I use a lot of wavy lines, smiley faces. This set all uses wavy lines, so I think it makes it a little bit easier. Again, bump out, draw a wavy line in between the two. But I try to get people used to decorating cookies without having to draw on them. But I always put some on the table just in case someone feels more comfortable doing that. Now, what I normally did for this class, like when I did it online, is I had them or I drew the eyes on top of my white. And I was trying to think about whether I wanted to do it that way or not. But these cookies, because one way you can do it is you can, draw a circle and then you can kind of scrape it in there and then you can put the color around it. But I thought about it and I thought, that's just another thing for me to have to take to a class. I mean, I'm going to have to take a scraper to give everybody or a paintbrush. And I want my classes to be tons of fun, but I don't want there to be an overwhelming amount of supplies. So what I decided is that we are going to do the eyes on top after we're all done. And I'll explain to them that the color might bleed a little bit. But otherwise, I always make it fun. I mean, I say, listen, if you don't want the color to bleed, then we'll all spend the night here. And tomorrow morning we'll do the eyes. And everybody laughs about that. So I say, when you're doing this at home, allow your cookies to dry, the white to dry before you put the black on them. But no one cares. They usually take them home and give them to their kids or their husband. I mean, they're not selling these cookies. They're just coming to have fun. So next, I'm going to go ahead, and I always try and do what is underneath first. So this cute little donut would have the brown on the bottom and the white on the top. So I'm going to go ahead and do the brown first, let it dry just a little bit, and then go over top of it with the white. And what I might do, I have some cute sprinkles. I'm just thinking about this as I talk. I think I'm going to take some sprinkles because in classes, people love sprinkles, especially someone that's not real comfortable with cookie decorating. I tell them that sprinkles makes everything look good, and it's just fun. So I'll take some sprinkles in a sprinkle tray and say, if you want to use sprinkles, they're up here. I always set that on a table. And the sprinkle tray is nice because then they can pour the sprinkles back into the bottle when they're done. So I'm going to do that because sprinkles are super cute on top of the donut. You can also do sprinkles with the colors that we have, and I'll show you all how to do that. Okay, so next I'm going to, let me think about what I'm going to do next. I'm going to do this one. And like I said, I'm going really fast. If I were doing a class, of course, this wouldn't be as fast. I walk around, I show a step, I walk around, make sure everybody understands how to do it. But let me grab, let's see, they're in here. I always make the royal icing transfers for everybody ahead of time. So let me get one. And I also give them the royal icing, a little royal icing transfer sheet on my sheet that shows, that they can practice on. It has a couple royal icing transfers if they want to try making those as well. So I allowed that to dry a little bit so that, there was a little bit of a differentiation between the handle and the mug. And this is a set, if you're just joining me, I have a cookie cutter subscription box, which comes with all the cookie cutters that you need to make a really cute set, plus the step-by-step instructions that show you how to decorate the cookies. And there's 6 large cookie cutters, 3 small mini cookie cutters, a stencil, the clip art, and it's a monthly subscription. It comes right to your door. I always give a sneak peek, but then it's a surprise because surprises are just so much fun. And starting with our December box, we're going to start shipping 2 months ahead of the holiday so that everybody has plenty of time to think about cookies for pre-sales or just making cookies for their families or friends. So we're starting that with our December box. Our November box is Christmas. And then our December box is Valentine's. So I'm going to move. Oh, while this is wet, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put my little royal icing transfer on there. Let's see. I'm going to put it right there. You can always use your little scribe, to kind of put it into place if you want. And then I'm going to put this aside to dry a little bit. Next, I think I will go do the ghost. And the reason I'm doing that is because the brown of this one has not dried enough to do this. I can't do the top of this one yet because this is not dry. And the white one that I did in the very beginning, I want this one to dry a little bit more before I put the details on that. So I just messed it up when I picked it up. But this one is fine. I can go ahead and do the white. And like I said in the beginning, I measured the icing that I put in the bags. And then I will go back when I finish and I will measure them again. Or not measure them, but weigh them. And then I will know how much icing each decorator gets. I always give extra icing, but that gives me kind of a ballpark. I actually have an icing calculator that I developed where I can put in the amount of icing and how many people are coming. It tells me how much icing to make. It tells me how many bags of powdered sugar I need. I could not live without it because when I do classes, I usually have between 20 and 40 people. And so I want to make sure that I have enough icing, but I don't want to waste icing. Now, you could always, of course, just, figure it out manually. The math isn't that hard, but because I do a lot of classes with a lot of people, I developed this icing calculator. So, this is my favorite cookie, I think. It changes between this one and the mug. So now I can sit this one to dry. And let's see, y'all got any? Oh, thank you, Tracy. The calculator, I think it makes life 10,000 times easier. I'm trying to think of which one I want to do next. I think I'm going to go back because the one that I did in the very beginning, I want this icing to be crusted over the most. Because I'm going to do little eyes and a little bow. I don't want it to necessarily sink down. So I'm going to do this second to last. So I've done this and I'm going to go ahead. I can fill in the white and I can go over top of that line because it's supposed to look like, the icing is overflowing. This is a ghost donut. Today, I baked cookies this morning because, like I always say, what I do is I make dough one time a month on Sundays, and then I bake cookies on Mondays, and I decorate cookies Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. But because I have a large class, I had to bake cookies Tuesday and Wednesday this week, but I'm not decorating cookies. So I was good to spend 2 days doing that. So I got up this morning, baked the remaining cookies for my class, and went out with my parents to eat. They drove about an hour to where we live. And then we went plant shopping. It was so much fun. And then I came home and just rested a little bit. And then I made icing. I always make my icing the day before my class. I have these big tubs. I'll show you. I think I got these at Walmart. These great big tubs that I put my icing in, stick it in the refrigerator. So that one's done. Let's see. Now I can do this one because this one is so much fun. It's so surprising because I'm really not using very much icing. I measured out 3 ounces of the white because I knew I would use the most white and 1.5 ounces of the other colors. And that's pretty good. I like for people to have enough to where they can really hold it in their hand. I definitely, an ounce and a half of black is way too much because we barely use any black. So maybe I'll cut this down to an ounce, but then they can take it home. I always let them take it home, whatever they don't use. But I start out with an ounce and a half of sort of my, my colors, everything but white. I start out with an ounce and a half. There's a piece of fuzz on that cookie. Get that off. I mean, no matter what you do, you have fuzz on cookies sometimes. But like I said, nobody's eating these cookies, so I'm not concerned at all. Isn't this a pretty color? I love this color green. I love the green and the purple. And again, I'm squeezing quite a bit because I want it to look sort of like this, is over top of my mug, my goop. I really like this cookie because you can't really mess it up. I mean, it is a really cool cookie. It really looks neat, but it's just green glop on top of a purple mug. So, if this line is wonky down here, it does not matter. And then I'm going to have to let my green dry because I'm going to go on top of it with my white spider web. So I maybe should have done the green a little bit earlier. I'll have to think about that. After I do this, I actually write down the steps. Nothing real crazy, but just so that when I'm doing the class tomorrow, I can think about the best way to do it. And I'll do that immediately so that I don't forget. Now I can finish this one. So remember, I have not cut this very large yet. I'm going to cut it. It's really small. So we can draw our bow. And I always take extra bags too, so that if somebody accidentally draws or cuts it too big, I'll help them cut it and we'll just cut it a little bit smaller. Next, I like to take my cookie upside down because I cannot do this right side up. And I say, we're just going to draw a little frowny face or a smiley face if the cookie's upside down. But to save my life, I cannot do it the other way. Isn't that one cute? So that one's done. Next, let's see, what do I want to do next? I can go ahead and do this one because the white, you can tell when your white has dried a little bit because it's not quite as shiny. So actually, I'm not going to do that one. I'm going to do this one because I remember I did this one kind of first. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to draw the eyes while my tip is pretty small. Also, when I'm doing cookies with black, I always make the black icing the night before. That way it can sit and I don't have to put tons of color in it. So these cookies will probably bleed because I just made the icing a little bit ago. But I like it when that happens because I like to show cookie decorators that come to my class all the different things that can happen and why they happen. So I guarantee you I will have bleeding with this, but that's fine. I'll show them, tell them why that happened. Now I can go ahead. Although, you know what? I have, so they don't bleed, I do have my air, my, what you call it, dehydrator right next to me. I guess I could use that since I have it, because that will really keep your icing from bleeding. So I'll go ahead and use that. Do you all use the dehydrator? It's the greatest tool you can ever have for cookie decorating. I just use it on a very low temperature, so it really is just like a fan. Let's go ahead and do these eyes. Now, if your bag is not your opening is small enough, you can actually do little sprinkles with the two colors, which adds a little bit of color to your cookie. Or like I said, I'll take some regular sprinkles and they can use those. Because to a brand new cookie decorator, sometimes making these little lines is not easy. And my goal is to make it really easy and just fun for everybody. Then I'll use some purple. And I always have wet paper, like a very damp paper towel, so that I can pull the color off my end, because sometimes it dries on there and then it doesn't want to come out. Is anybody excited about watching the Halloween cookie challenge? I cannot wait. Last year, after I got back from the Food Network Christmas Cookie Challenge taping, they actually called me and asked me if I would be interested in being on the Halloween show. And I said, I just got back from taping the Christmas Cookie Challenge, because we have to sign a contract saying we won't do anything for a year. And the woman that I talked to, she said, "Oh, I didn't know that." So I was so bummed, because that would have been so much fun. But I was very honored to be called. So isn't that one cute? So look, that one's done. I'm going to just stick it in my dehydrator. And then we'll go ahead and do this one. If you all have any questions, please ask. I also take cute bakery boxes to all my classes so that people can take their cookies home in cute boxes. Because that just kind of makes you feel special, I think. So that one doesn't want to come off, so I'm just going to wipe it with my damp paper towel. Isn't that so cute? Now you could put sprinkles on the top of him too. I think that would be adorable. That is such an easy cookie, but I think it's adorable. But I'm going to put this in my dehydrator. And like I said, we're not going to have a dehydrator tomorrow. So I will tell people, your cookie might bleed just a little bit, but know that I'll tell them how to prevent that. So I'm thinking I might not even have to make this bigger, this opening. I thought I was going to have to cut it a little bigger, but I don't think I'm going to have to do that. This is my tombstone. And in the set that I did for my Cheerful Box subscription, I actually did this gray. And I showed them how to use dusts on it to make it look old. But you can only do that if your cookie's completely dry. So for a class, we couldn't do that. So instead, we're just going to do it black. But I am going to take my dusts and I'm going to show them how to use them so that they'll at least have that knowledge when they're making cookies at home. Now, the black that I use is always 100% of the time Americolor Super Black. I mean, really, I think there's no other black that works as well. I mean, you don't have to put that much color in it. And it's just such a beautiful, rich black. But the main thing is you just don't have to put that much color in it. Because black icing does not taste very good if you oversaturate it with color. And I'll let this one dry a little bit. And I'm trying to see, I'm pretty close to being done. I have this one next. And, I need to write the rip. I'm looking at my picture. And I'll show them how to do the eyes tomorrow. I mean, how to do the cheeks. I'll tell them, we can't do that on the wet icing. But if they want to try it, they certainly can. I mean, it's going to dent their cookie, but some people just like using it. So I'll take that stuff. Hey, Mimi, I'm kind of showing how I get ready for my classes. I have a class tomorrow, so I'm decorating all the cookies for the class and showing how I do things. It'll be really interesting to see. I mean, I started out with 1.5 ounces of this icing. And look, I bet I haven't even used a 1/2 ounce. So that is interesting. Just think if I hadn't done this, how much icing I would have wasted. Now my green isn't completely as dry as I would like it to be. So tomorrow I'm going to remember this and I'm actually going to do it earlier because I really don't want my spider webs to sink down into my icing. So let me see, make sure I'm done with everything else. But you know what? I'm just going to go ahead and do it. Because this really is just about figuring out how much icing I need. It might be dry enough. I really like to wait until I don't have a lot of shine on my cookie. So this is the spider web. And I'm just looking at the clip art that I give to everybody who comes to the class to figure out kind of where I want to do the lines. Although it is just a spider web, so is there any real right or wrong way? That looks kind of cute. I have a class on Saturday. I have no idea how to calculate how much icing I need. So here's what you do, Mimi. You weigh your bags. I always put the prominent color, I always put 3 ounces in. The other colors, I put 1.5 ounces. I decorate the cookies in the set, and then I weigh my bags. I know exactly how much icing to give everybody. I give people a little bit extra because, I don't really waste icing at this point, but people that come to class usually waste icing, which is fine. Sometimes if they mess up, I'm like, scrape it off, just take your paper towel, wipe it off, try it again. So I always give a little bit of extra icing, but you will be surprised at how much less waste you have if you actually weigh out your icing. So next I am going to do my little, I thought about doing these with transfers, and I still might. I got to think on this. These are the spiders. Yeah, I definitely, without a doubt, have got to do the green first because I'm going to take some black paint and edible paint, and I want them to be able to draw the little legs on. So I need to do the green first. And then I need to be able to draw, I think I'm gonna definitely do these as royal icing transfers, because if I go ahead and do that next little dot, it's just gonna sink in, and that's not gonna look good. So that's a decision that I've just made. So I'm gonna just put this aside because there's no way I can do the rest of that unless those black dots have dried. So the last but not least thing that I have is this one. And you did this cookie with class on Monday, and I made royal icing transfers. Yes, I think that's what I'm going to do, Tracy. I think it's just going to be easier for people if I do that. So, you have any tips, Tracy, from your class? So next, I'm going to go around with this. And then I always do the eye in the middle. Whoops. I always start with the middle letter. Now, in my cheerful box, I actually made a little arm sticking over it. But this is basically a beginner, let's have fun decorating class. So I'm not going to do that. Now, if your eyes are dry enough, you can actually come in with your little white and make catch lights, which I think make for cuter little eyes if you do the little white dots. So there's that one. And again, I'm only using one consistency. So, the RIP isn't going to be as clean, but it's fine. I think I can go ahead. I think we're going to do that last. I think after we do all of our eyes, I'm going to show them how to do the little catch lights, because that does add a lot of personality, I think, to your cookies. Right? What other one do I have? I've got my donut with my sprinkles that I made, or you can use real sprinkles. I'll give people both options. And let's see. I think that's all. I think I'm done. I'm looking at them to make sure. 1, 2, 3. Oh, yeah, because I can't do this one because I can't finish it because I have to let the spider will all go together. Oh, hey, Angie. Well, this is a complete spur of the moment. I was doing this to figure out how much icing I need for my class tomorrow, so I thought, hey, I'll go online. Tracy, I did the green part of the cookie early, so it will be dry enough for the web. Everyone loved the cookies. I need to make my frosting a bit thicker. Still working on the consistency. Yes, that is great advice. That's what I figured out doing this. I need to probably do the green first. That's why I always do this. Always, always, always. I never do a class with the set that I haven't decorated the night before or the morning of the class, because I want to make sure that I do things in the right order. Excuse me. So now that I'm done, I will write down the steps. I'm going to make my little green royal icing my little black royal icing transfers for the spiders. And I think everything else is pretty ready for the class, but the icing, I'll do the icing in the morning. I'll figure out how much I need tonight. I'll put it in my calculator. I'll do that and bag it in the morning. So thank you all for watching. 3 of my friends. Oh, are you coming tomorrow, Paula? Oh, I'm so glad. Yes, I'm figuring out how much icing that you all need so that I make sure that you all have a great time. And you know that it's in Midway this time, which at the new Thoroughbred wine bar, which I think will be so fun because I love Midway. So I will look forward to seeing you all tomorrow. And thank you for joining me in my impromptu decorating tonight. And I'm going to go and figure out how much icing I need for my class. See you later. Bye.